And that's a really large county. It's 805th largest land-based county in Missouri. Let's talk about the role of commission. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding out there as what the county commission really has their hands on and what they do not have their hands on. The county commission is an everyday function, takes care of the county budget, maintaining the fiscal responsibility of the county. You have to make sure the county's in good financial shape so when bad times come, we can continue to provide the services to Callaway County that our citizens so expect and they deserve. Previously, for approximately 7.5 years, I had control of the largest portion of the county budget. And I'm very proud to announce that piece of the pie was managed correctly. I never had one complaint to the state auditor, never one investigation by the state auditor, no bad findings. I took care of the taxpayers' money. And that is the number one everyday function of the Callaway County Commission. Well, let's talk about their other responsibilities. What they do control the day-to-day operations is county health, road and bridge, 911, and emergency management. Obviously, from my past career, I have a very good understanding of 911, emergency management, and road and bridge. Now, obviously, I didn't work for road and bridge, so I don't have the intricate knowledge of how you fix a bridge or replace a bridge, but I certainly understand the county's inventory of roads. We have 820 miles, 820 miles of county road in the county's inventory. That is one heck of a load. And with the cost of maintaining that 820 miles just increasing year after year after year, the county commission has to have a really good grasp on that budget and always be looking at operational efficiencies. So what I would offer tonight is, I believe I'm the candidate who does have an intricate understanding of the county. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Excuse me, let's start with that. My name is Rob Barnes, candidate for presiding commissioner. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about myself, the best I can, in 2 minutes, 45 seconds. 6 years of age, been in the county 55 years. My call to duty, so to speak, has largely been in telecommunications. So I spent a good number of years with Kingdom Telephone up in the northern part of the county. I'm sure most of us have heard of them. In that role, I got to bring a lot of broadband connectivity out to the county. That was important to me because I thought it stimulated not only keeping people in our county, but seeing more people come to the county and the economic development efforts that would be attached to that. One of the things in the cooperative environment is really kind of interesting. If you've never had an opportunity to work there, I think it does a lot of good to prepare you for working in government. When you work for the owners, and there are several thousand of them, you learn how to listen, you learn how to take care of their needs. And the saying that sometimes you see posted on the wall in some private businesses where it says, "We reserve the right to refuse service," does not apply in a cooperative world, nor does it apply in government. So, folks, I have no way to avoid any of you. I hope to engage with all of you, and that's probably not going to happen between necessarily now and the primary election, but I do hope you do a little research on me and get to understand a little bit about who I am. My current role at Callaway, that's what I'm doing today. Been 9 years building a fiber project in the community. Once again, kind of a calling, so to speak, to recognize the importance of broadband in rural Callaway County and rural Missouri and rural America in general. Once again, I think it's an important element that keeps our communities vibrant. One other detail I wanted to touch on. I do have some experience, worked a couple of years within the city of Fulton. I had oversight of their $40 million budget, insurance programs, risk management, also supervised a good number of people. Beyond that, some of the things I enjoy doing for fun, have served on several boards in our community. I've served on the senior center board for a good number of years at a time when it was going through a pretty rough spell, and worked very hard to bring it back to something very viable. I do commit to this group and to all that are watching as I would enter into a new phase, leaving the private business sector and working in the public sector, to work very hard for each and every one of you.
You're good.
Good evening. My name is Jim Schulte. For the past 4 years, it's been my honor to serve as your state representative for District 49. When I ran on a platform of defending our constitutional rights, enacting pro-life policies, opposing new taxes, empowering parents and students, and supporting veterans and law enforcement. To that end, I have voted for the Born Alive bill this year, in which we passed a law that said any baby that survives an abortion must be given full medical treatment and care to keep that baby alive, while the medical personnel have used everything in their power to do that. We also, in the House, we renewed a bill called Transgender Boys and Girls in Sports. That bill makes it illegal for boys to play in girls' sports. It makes it illegal for boys to shower in girls' shower rooms, and it makes it illegal for boys to go and use girls' bathrooms. That passed unanimously on the Republican side and unanimously against on the Democrat side. That's how the party line goes with these things. I've opposed any new taxes since I've been there. I'm proud to say that this year we lowered the state budget by $4 billion. That's with a B. We have been progressively lowering it every year since I've been there. On school items, I supported school choice. I supported charter schools. I also voted for the largest teacher pay raise in the history of the state. And we increased the funding of public schools by $800 million this year. And we funded school transportation 100%. I support veterans. I co-sponsored the Veterans and Law Enforcement. I'm vice chair of the Crime and Public Safety Committee. I'm also vice chair of the Veterans Committee. I co-sponsored the anti-trafficking bill, which we passed, and the governor signed into law, which protects our children and all of our citizens from sex trafficking. In addition, I've served on the Utilities Committee for 4 years now, and the Agriculture Committee for the past year. So I would appreciate your vote again, and I look forward to serving you for 2 more years. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jessica Sliz. I'm running for House District 49 here in Callaway County. The 49th is basically everything south of 70, if you want to know where that boundary is. I am running as a Democrat, and although that is kind of a scary word when you're in a rural area like this, I'm not your typical Democrat. I'm a gun owner. I know, it's surprising to a lot of people. I was actually #1 in skeet shooting when I was in high school. So I need to get back to the range, I guess. So it's been a few years. I am running because I believe Callaway County needs someone who will represent them, not a party and not a line. We need somebody who's going to represent everyone. And that's why I'm here. And that's why this is my 3rd time running against Jim, who's a great opponent, great guy. And actually, Christine's going to talk here in a minute, and she might let you in that I helped on her campaign the very first time she ran, so that ages me a little bit. I went out and knocked doors for Christine's campaign, so kind of got into learning how the ropes are here in Callaway County and really dedicating my life to the service of the people and getting to know what it takes to run a county and what it takes to run in the city and the state as well. And I think that everyone here has done a great job showing up and getting involved in politics, because it's not there's a lot of information out there, and it can get pretty hectic when people are talking about each other, and that's why I do appreciate Jim and the fact that we stay on our, I guess, platforms and what we are running for, so I do appreciate that. And I think tonight, we all need to keep cool, drink lots of water, and listen up, because we've got some new faces in the room to hear from. So thank you all for coming and showing up tonight. Drink lots of water, Gatorade, or whatever maybe, because I can tell you, I've already been outside to water my geese 4 times today, and the cattle are acting like it's just terrible. So as we move forward, I would invite you all to look at my website for any other questions or catch me outside. Thank you.
I'm Mike Deering. I'm running for Missouri State Senate, District 10. I live here in Callaway County, out in Shamrock. My wife and I have lived there in our livestock operation now for 14 years. We have 3 kids, Charlie, who's 10, Henry, who's 8, and Margaret, who's 3. We also have a storefront in Montgomery City, Missouri called Nature's Cloud, where we sell our farm fresh meats, produce, and all things Missouri made. I'm also the Executive Vice President of the Missouri Cattlemen's Association. Anybody that knows me, even a little, will tell you, even if they don't like me, will tell you that I'm honest, I shoot straight, I'm no BS. That's really how I was raised in Savannah, Missouri, up in the northwest corner of the state. Grew up on a family farm there. My mom was a volunteer, worked as a librarian at the school, worked at a convenience store. My dad was a farmer, an auctioneer, and a barber. I would spend countless hours in Lloyd's barber shop, and that's truly where I learned how to sort the truth from BS, because there's a lot of both going on in a barber shop. And so we were a typical conservative middle-class family. When I was 11 years old, my dad died in a farming accident. My mom got us involved, my sister and I involved in everything at that point to keep our mind off of that. Just when we thought we were back on track, my mom had passed away to Wagner's disease 5 days after my 16th birthday. And it was at that point in my life that talks of selling the farm started. And I fought back, even against people I love in my own family, to keep that farm. And I'm proud to report that family farm is still fully functional and intact today. After that, I went to college, got degrees, came back, jumped on the opportunity to come back to Missouri and honor my parents' memory by working for people like them, and that's the farm and ranch families of this state. And now I'm getting off the sidelines and running for Missouri Senate, because over the last 14 years that I've been working for the cattlemen's, I've seen a massive erosion of common sense in Jefferson City, where you have one side or this side, and a lot of political theater and grandstanding, and who can get the most likes, or who can make the headlines, or who can get the most clicks, and that's not what I'm all about. It's really easy to point out problems, but it's hard to form partnerships, meaningful relationships, to identify solutions and get things done. And that's what I have a track record of doing, and that's what I want to do. We can talk about some of those priorities, but one thing in particular is limiting the size of government. Everyone talks about smaller government, smaller government. The Missouri Senate this year filed 1,054 pieces of legislation, and I'm confused on how we can limit the size of government if we set bill filing records year after year after year. I've got 9 seconds. I'm going to pass it to you, Jim.
Thank you, sir. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is John Wells. I'm from Holt Summit. My father is from Arkansas, actually. He moved to Missouri a long time ago before I was born. I'm the only one of my 4 siblings to be born in Missouri. He moved to Columbia, Missouri when we were just a young family. He took a job with Fairview Elementary in Columbia. He stayed there for 30 years as a public school administrator. I took lessons from my dad. I went to work for state government after graduating from the University of Missouri in Columbia. I have 2 degrees from Mizzou, including my bachelor's degree in communications, and then I was able to go back during my employment with the state and pick up a master's degree in public administration, we were very handy working in state government. I have about 30 years experience in state government, and while I was there, I saw a lot of politicians come to town and think that they knew better than us, thought they were smarter than us, and forgot that they worked for us. So they did a lot of things to try to overturn the will of the people. That's what inspired me to run. I believe that government should serve the people. Let the welfare of the people be supreme law. That's in our state motto. It's inscribed in the state capitol. If you walk around the building, you'll see it in different places. That is our guiding star. That's what we're supposed to do in Jefferson City, take care of the people. And that is my mission, that is my goal. If you elect me in the fall and send me to Jefferson City, I promise to always look out for you. My first priority is, of course, education. My dad was a public school administrator, believed in it. After he retired from the school system, he went down to work for DESE in Jeff City for about another 7 years. He got a second retirement, picked up some military years from when he served in the military, and ended up having a pretty nice retirement when he finally left state service. But I want to continue that mission of public service. I've done it for about 30 years, and I want to continue to work for you in the state capitol. I want to look out for the people, so when there's legislation like we've seen this year on the ballot, which is on the primary ballot this August, you'll have an opportunity to vote either for your Republican or Democrat primary choices, but on both ballots you'll also have the choice to vote for an amendment or against Amendment 4 or against Amendment 5. Both of them were two priorities that came out of the legislature this year, and I think they're both horrible ideas and bad deals for Missourians. So I hope that you agree with me and you're going to reject those amendments this fall, but then you'll have a chance to also vote in that primary race. I'll be up again in November, probably against Mike Deering here, so you'll have a choice between the two of us for Senate District 10. That's Callaway County, my hometown here, Holt Summit. I moved to Holt Summit about 21 years ago to get closer to work in Jeff City. And it's also Montgomery County, Lincoln County, Pike County. So it's a large district that serves a large rural area, but we all deserve good representation in Jeff City, and I hope you'll trust me with that. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Bethany Mann. I am running for U.S. House of Representatives to serve you in Congress in Washington, D.C. I am a mom of 3. I live in St. Peters, and I am an environmental chemist. I solve problems with chemistry, science, and a little dash of common sense, and with people, too, because people are at the heart of how we solve big problems. I started my career helping farmers and ranchers and producers test their commodities, their wheat, their soybeans, their corn, for different things. I've walked through an ethanol plant, 8 months pregnant, helping solve problems in a fermentation tank. Over the past 8 years or so, I've worked more on the environmental science, industrial, chemical side of the equation, and I serve as an essential worker and a first responder to our energy infrastructure. So that means sometimes you will see me in Callaway helping your folks out over at Steedman. Very wonderful civil servants and workers who will show up no matter what the Geiger counter says over at Steedman. I also work with oil refineries and any place where they're doing water chemistry. That's my background. My team was part of the team that worked with the EPA on the new PFAS Out project that, from President Trump. So I have worked in a bipartisan capacity to solve problems that impact all of us, regardless if there's an R or a D or an I behind our name. I am running because I believe that every person in this room, we all deserve freedom. We deserve the freedom to send our kids to a fully funded and equitably funded public school from pre-K all the way out to secondary schooling or union apprenticeship. We should have the freedom to collectively organize our labor, to ask for higher wages and safer job sites, and to make sure that the corporations who work here are paying their fair share in taxes without a bunch of grifty write-offs. And finally, I believe that every single one of us deserves the freedom to drink clean water, breathe clean air, leave something better for our future. And unfortunately, our rights are under attack by a whole bunch of politicians who've forgotten exactly who they serve. Regardless of what side of the aisle that you fall on, America's been around for 250 years with no kings, with 3 co-equal branches of government and a constitution to rule us all. And those in power right now are not doing what the people want. They're not following the Constitution, and it is really leaving us with a crisis. What that means is we have a bunch of politicians who are out repeating talking points about really extreme things, kids using bathrooms and what sports teams trans kids play on, when really what most families want to talk about aren't social issues that divide us. It's about issues that matter to working families, like the cost of chicken nuggets. It's $12 a bag, and diesel at $450. Oh, I'm done. So anyway, Bethany Mann, running for Congress in the 3rd.
Hi, my name is Christine Kleindon. I'm the current county recorder of deeds. I've been in office for 16 years. Yes, Jessica, we talked about that. It's been 16 years when she helped me walk in the parades and go door to door. My office deals with real estate, and so all ownership deeds are in my office, surveys, plats. We also deal with marriage licenses and military discharges. A little bit about my background. I'm a Hickman High School graduate. I married Raby Kleindens from South Callaway. We've been married 43 years, sorry babe, since June, 43 years. And we have 3 kids, 3 grandkids. One of the main things I wanted to let people know, so in my office, we help get the Century Farms. You can look up all the way back. If you happen to have a Century Farm or any of your deeds, we can go all the way back to the 1800s. We do have even some patents. They're signed by the President of the United States, has a presidential seal, so when the courthouse does walkthroughs for the elementary school kids, I like to show them the actual patent with the presidential seal on it. I think it's really important for them to know that we actually have those in Callaway County. So that's mostly what we deal with is real estate. We also are really concerned in the state of Missouri right now, the Recorders Association. I'm the education chair for the state of Missouri, and we're worried about deeds, being fraudulent deeds. We do have almost everyone's software in the state of Missouri has iBrochures about it, and it's www.deedwatch.com, and it's a free service you can sign up for. If you happen to deed over property, get a loan, you'll get an email saying this is what was reported in your name. I know our sheriff, Mr. Maley, he called my office and said, hey, Christina, I had something recorded in my name, what is it? And I said, it's a deed of release, did you pay off the loan? He said, I sure did. So he got an email. So this is a service, a great free service for everyone to sign up for. So I am on the ballot in August and November. I would really appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Okay. So Christine has come every time. Thank you so much. She is running unopposed, but she just wanted to come and share her message and what she actually does for the county, and we appreciate you coming. Okay, so we are going to start with some 2-minute questions. We're going to start with our commission. Excuse me. And Mike, we started with you first, so we're going to let Clay start first this time. Then it'll go to Rob and then back to you, okay? So, what do you consider your greatest professional accomplishment, and how has that experience prepared you to serve in this office?
I'm going to talk about past and present. So, as everyone knows, I served 23 years at the sheriff's office. Started as a detention officer, did about 5 months in the jail, and then worked myself all the way up the ranks through sheriff. And while doing all of that, I also went back to school and obtained my master's degree in administration. Obviously, no secret in life, I had a bad point. I believe when you fall down, you get back up. And when people try to beat you down, it only makes you stronger. So, currently, I would say my best accomplishment is I'm here, I'm standing in front of the community, I'm back to serving the public. A couple years ago, I took on a job with the City of Falls as a program administrator, handling state and federal grants. I also do contract work for several other agencies around the area. So again, I would say my accomplishments are my past experience, the education I received, my current experience, but more than anything, my perseverance to stand the hell back up, get in front of the community, do the right thing, and get back to work.
touched a little bit on, I think one of the things that I wanted to talk about, or I think that's important, earlier, as part of my introduction. And that is, I'm getting to be a bit of a dinosaur when it comes to internet technology. I've seen it from the very beginning, well, not that very beginning, very few of us actually go back that far, but certainly in Callaway County, let's call it the very beginning. So I saw the evolution of internet with one company, stepped away for a little bit, took a break, and then got to do it all over again with a whole lot more responsibility, with the ability to apply a whole bunch of skills that I had gained and learned, let's say maybe through my first opportunity. So, you know, from a professional perspective, I'm very proud of what I've accomplished with Callaway. That's not setting aside anything I did before, but what a wonderful opportunity for a person to not only get an opportunity to touch the county once, but to get to circle back around and do it a second time. And that's been my call to life, call to business, so to speak. I think one other thing that I haven't got a chance to talk about very much, doesn't come up in conversation easily, is you know, I was one of those kids fresh out of high school that never opened a book, decided to go to college, was a bit of an athlete, we can guess that now, but didn't have a clue how to succeed in college. I really struggled with that for about 25 years, and after beating myself up for a good long time, I said, Pop, I don't know why you're whining and crying about this, why don't you get your butt back in class and go earn that degree, and I did. That was 6 years, it seems like 6, 7, 8, 9 years, I don't know, but that's a big personal accomplishment.
Well, when it comes to accomplishments, I think of several things I've done. But when I graduated from North Callaway High School, I finished first in my class. And that's always kind of what I've gone back to in my resume, that when you're valedictorian in your class, you know, you've been through some competition, and you just know how to rise to the occasion. And I'm from a 5th generation farm family. That was another good thing of my background. And the other thing was going to the University of Missouri Columbia and meeting some of the people that went over there. And I just think that my background supports what I can do for the county commission. And basically, I'd just like y'all to put me in the county courthouse in Fulton. And my name is Mike Connor, officially introduce myself. And I appreciate your support in the primary on the 4th and on Super Tuesday in November. Please vote for Mike Connor for presiding commissioner of Callaway County. Thank you.
Okay, so another 2-minute question, and this is going to the commission. Rob, you'll start this one first. Callaway County is made up of many different communities, each with its own needs and priorities. How would you make sure you are listening to and representing people throughout the entire county?
In some of the latest online debate, the phrase "we the people" keep coming to mind. And we as individuals, I think, get to thinking that sometimes our voices are not being heard. There's a few people in the crowd that would, I think, echo this very sentiment. We the people. What I have learned in the last couple of 3 months as I purposefully, tried to get out into all our communities, is to try to understand the differences that exist from attitudes and opinions, from biases. We're a diverse group, without a doubt. And it's been a good opportunity to visit with folks and get to understand what's important from the data center topic in the northern part of the county. Folks, it diminishes a bit, at least from the folks that I visited with. And I'm not pinpointing people, I'm just talking to people. To the strong opinions based on property rights. What I think is needed very badly to address, at least if I'm elected, is to continue to spend time in those communities to better understand what is important, because it is not all about Fulton. It's not all about Holt Summit. It's a great community. But it's not exactly the same as every other community. So there needs to be a conscientious effort that I want to see to spend time in the communities and get to know what is important, so that, you know, we the people, as I would get to know them, I have a better understanding of what's important.
I've always believed in an open door policy the whole time, and kind of putting your out there. And I have talked to other commissioners. They say the main thing is listening. If you listen to what the people are telling you, you can come up with solutions, what they're going to do. I've always been open to people coming to me. I learned 3 things at the university. I'll just go ahead and say them right now. There's no free lunch. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And there's always a risk-return trade-off no matter what you do. And I would put those things first when someone came to me with a suggestion, whether it's recruiting them for a business in town, in Callaway County or whatever. And I would rely on those 3 benchmarks. Thank you.
I would open up the answer of, I did it before and I'll do it again. When I took over as sheriff in 2017, I knew one of the primary concerns amongst the county is there were certain communities that felt like they had been disenfranchised. Honestly, Holt Summit being one of the major ones. I worked tirelessly to build relations with local governments and local citizens to make it known that every voice in Callaway County was equal. Whether you was in the far northwest of Stevens or down in Tebbets, everyone should be heard. This right here is work attire. I had the same attitude when I was sheriff. Lots of leaders wore suit and ties and sat behind the desk. I wore a uniform and had a patrol car, so that way I could go out and meet the citizens. Yes, there's a fair amount of meetings that have to be held in downtown Fulton, but everything doesn't have to be done in the brick district. Not everything. I believe if you go out and meet the people face to face, see their concerns, recognize their concerns, that is the most valuable. Again, as a presiding commissioner, I don't plan on conducting 100% of business in the office. I sure as heck won't conduct it on some of these social media pages. It'll be with these boots that I have on tonight, on the ground, again, in the rural areas of Callaway County, talking to the citizens where it means most to them, from corner to corner. Thank you.
Okay, so the next section is 2-minute questions, and these are for our state and federal. We're going to start with Jim. Many rural communities continue to struggle with access to health care providers, hospitals, and specialty care. What specific actions would you take to improve access to quality health care?
Good question. Well, I don't think anybody denies the need that we need health care and we need better facilities here in Callaway County. That takes money. So we ought to have a revenue source of funding to attract those places to be here. That comes from growing our businesses, growing the wealth of the county through manufacturing processes, through jobs. The more people that have jobs, the more money they spend, the more likely we are to get those kind of facilities attracted here. We lost our hospital in Fulton, but we've also lost a lot of other things in Fulton over the years, and it wasn't feasible or sustainable anymore. I think by attracting new companies and new businesses here, that will create a revenue stream that allows us to attract them to come in here. I have worked with the commissioners to discuss ways and options to get MU healthcare in here, to create at the very minimum an urgent care facility. Old Summit is 8 miles from Jefferson City, so they're not in the bind Fulton is, or Avaz, or some of the other So we definitely need that facility, and we need to do everything we can to get that built, staffed, and brought in here. I also supported some legislation to expand the duties and responsibilities of physician assistants. We have one of the strictest rules in the state, or in the Midwest. Our state governs and limits physician's assistants more than any of the surrounding states. So I have met with the Physicians Assistant Association to work on legislation.
That's good.
Rural health care. So I actually wrote something about this because it's something I feel very passionate about. I used to work in pharmacy, and I worked for Medicaid for a little bit, taking calls from the hospitals to approve or deny claims, and I quickly found out that that was not the job for me because I could not stomach turning down cancer treatment for individuals that needed it. So part of the things that we can do is mandate hospitals of a certain size have to ensure that there is urgent care available in surrounding communities. So say MU wants to continue to get state funding, they're going to have to ensure that Callaway County has an urgent care available. The next thing we can do is healthcare grants. We already subsidize farms. Why can't we write the same thing for healthcare? Next up would be the county health department. They already do a whole lot, but there is room in the statutes for them to offer things like strep testing or flu testing, and that can be sent in then to a doctor who is on call, either there or virtually, to prescribe the appropriate antibiotic for patients. Also, provider distribution, making sure that we have providers in the areas where we need them by accepting more licenses to the rural areas and maybe holding off on some of those in the more population dense areas where we do have healthcare available.
Yeah, access to rural health care is a major issue, especially in rural communities. Within the Cattlemen's Association as well as Farm Bureau, that's identified as one of the top concerns. In rural Missouri is access not only to health care, whether it's urgent care, but also the mental health resources as well. Agriculture, unfortunately, is not something, farming and ranching, not something we're proud of, but has amongst the highest suicide rates, especially in down markets and when times are tough. And so it's not just urgent care or health care, it's also mental health resources as well. And I think rural economic development, as Mr. Representative Schulte kind of mentioned, is a big part of that. Making sure that we attract businesses, making sure that we attract healthy, responsible economic growth to be able to be attractive to those companies that come to Callaway County, that come to other counties in the 10th district. That's a big part of what the Chamber of Commerce does, trying to make the county attractive to businesses and get that economic development going. But definitely a huge concern.
All right. So rural health care, it's definitely an important issue, and it's one of the things that I'm going to focus on when I get to the legislature, if you send me in this November. I think those are two really important things to rural communities. First is public education, and then second is health care. And if we have good internet in our rural areas, I think people want to live in rural Missouri. They just need access to those services. Now let's be honest, healthcare in Missouri has gotten worse under Republican leadership. The hospitals closed under our current leadership, Republican leadership, right? And one of the ways that we can improve healthcare for rural Missouri is to lean in on those federal programs like Medicare and Medicaid. Something the state has turned their back on the last couple of years. They cut Medicare and Medicaid instead of embracing those programs and expanding services for Missourians. So really, I think that's the first place to start, is we need to stop cutting programs that can take care of the people, especially in rural areas. So Medicare, Medicaid, we're going to use those programs, lean in, and try to expand services to rural Missourians. Next thing I think we need to do is recruitment. And there's also already a lot of recruitment. But if you go talk to a doctor's office anywhere, they'll tell you that they have recruiters that go out and find doctors all over the United States to bring them to their practices, right? It's the same kind of thing that we should be doing here in rural Missouri. I know that there's a rural health organization, that focuses on that, maybe the Missouri Hospital Association as well. but we flex in and use those resources that already exist to expand recruitment for rural Missouri. I know that there's a new dentist in Lynn, Missouri, for instance, who came to the state from Wyoming, right? Missouri is not always a destination spot on every doctor's radar, but if we get some recruiters out there working and trying to recruit them to the state, I think we can do a better job.
All right, I believe that every American deserves access to not just health care, but to health care that they can afford. That doesn't mean that Randall out in Winsville has to decide whether he's going to pay his rent, his insulin, or his grocery bill that week. One of the big reasons that rural health care has eroded is what John rightly said, is 20 years of Republican leadership. Because Bob Onder cut the expansion to Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act, that caused rural hospitals all across the state to close. We closed 21 rural hospitals and 25 rural nursing homes. And because of this big ugly bill that was passed that will go into effect in January, we're looking at 25 more of our rural hospitals closing and an increase in corporate monopoly healthcare centers popping up that will make your family pay much more for health care at a time when you need help the most. So my plan is not just to stop this big ugly bill, but it's to make sure that everyone can have access to Medicare and Medicaid health care for all, and that would also increase provider reimbursement so that we're keeping our doctors and our nurses and our midwives here in the state. And we need to make sure that our veterans are taken care of too. We've seen devastating cuts to veteran services. We've seen cuts, a proposed cut right now to cut tendinitis and sleep apnea from benefits that veterans receive, and I believe that we need to fully fund the VA as well. I also believe that adding testing capabilities to reach folks in rural places, mobile testing labs, mobile health centers will give people in their homes the care that they need, while we support hospitals being built that aren't just privately held to jack up your prices and make you pay more when you're at the doctor or your pharmacy.
Okay, so we are returning our questions back to the commission. Mike, we're going to start with you. As the presiding commissioner, how will you work with other departments like the sheriff's office, county assessor, recorder of deeds, the clerk?
Well, like I say, I want to say I will have an open door policy all the way. And the first thing is to go to all those people, introduce myself, and ask what's on their mind, and kind of bearing down what that materializes from there. But like I said, I'm familiar with the courthouse. My dad was there in the late '80s, and like the consensus was, he's a good man. Well, I'm a good man. It's like father, like son. And I hope that kind of helps me out along the way. As far as just introducing yourself to people in the county and touching base with them, and then following up later on. Don't keep visiting them and ask what their ideas are and stuff, and then make some decisions as a presiding commissioner, and we just go from there.
Thank you. So I think it's very important to first educate the public that the county commission does not control the day-to-day operations of those offices that have their own elected officials. What the commission does work with those elected officials on is budget issues, whether it be short-term issues or long-term planning. I know all the elected officials, have a very good rapport with them. I look forward to working with them again. And at the end of the day, the relationship with the other elected officials goes back to the budget and being able to identify the wants versus the needs. And the taxpayers' needs will always come before the wants. The county has to always put the core mission, the statutory obligation, what the law says, that's what the commission has to deal with first, and then if there's anything additional that can be accomplished, that's a great discussion to have. I look forward to working with those officials again. But again, I think it's very important for the public to recognize those offices who have an elected official of their own, as in Christine, the recorder's office, she controls the day-to-day operations as far as the hiring, firing, so on and so forth. Thank you.
I think in the role of presiding commissioner, my approach is not going to deviate a whole lot from the day-to-day world that I live in right now. I firmly believe that in the business world, and I think it translates very nicely into the government, it's down to communication and relationships. And that's having a rapport with the electeds within the courthouse, the sheriff's office, the health department. Might I extend that to the Board of Aldermen in Summit, the elected officials at City of Fulton, up to Kingdom City, and across our great county. You know, there's so many agencies I'm going to leave out. You know, the sewer department comes to my mind as a critical piece of rural Callaway County. It's having a dialogue, understanding what the issues are, if there are any. How can the commission be of assistance and not be a roadblock? But the support when maybe things aren't going well. But again, it's having that relationship that starts here, that develops and expands over time, so that each entity knows each other, and we approach county government and county life and our county in general as a team, not a bunch of individuals.
Okay. Thank you. So for my next question for the commission, and we'll start with Clay on this one. Callaway County competes with surrounding communities for jobs and investment. But really, the most important thing is retaining the businesses that we have here. How would you make sure that we remain competitive and we keep those companies right here in Callaway County?
Coincidentally, I just made a post about this about an hour ago, and this is I believe a follow-up to a great question that was asked last week in Evolves. And I want to say, first of all, with all the hype about new businesses that may or may not end up in Callaway County, we need to recognize and really appreciate the businesses that are already here, support them. How do we keep them? Well, we keep big government out of their lives to begin with. I believe in the free market. I don't believe when the government gets involved in everything, it makes things better. Usually when the government gets involved, it makes things worse. Let's just be honest with each other. Businesses, they need to feel like they're in safe areas. So you support law enforcement. You keep the community safe so business owners feel like that they can efficiently operate their businesses in a safe environment. You got to take care of the public roads. Now, obviously, the county doesn't have any say over a MoDOT roadway or a city-controlled roadway. And I think, again, there's some confusion out there as to what the commission has control over. But the commission should take care of the county roadways, which we are responsible for, so that a business owner's customer base can easily and efficiently access those business points, especially with our farming type operations. But more than anything, do not burden our businesses with unnecessary big government regulations and no excessive tax. I would close out this question with 9 seconds left to say what I said earlier this afternoon. Take a breath with all the hype about what may or may not happen and support what we have now.
Thank you. Rob?
some of you that are following me online have noticed in the background, and I didn't do so as a strategy to try to imply I was being endorsed by anybody. But again, this is a very amazing community down here. I'm not saying that just because we're in Old Summit. Maybe it won't hurt. But I was aware some weeks ago when I had some folks pointing a camera at me, which is not something that I really enjoyed all that greatly. But it took a moment to stand in front of PFS and Steve's pest control, two amazing stories in this very county. And you know, that list goes on. As you start naming, you ultimately forget people. You get Doolittle across the road, and now Fab Parts, it's out here in the county. You know, another great success story. It is awfully easy, admittedly, to forget what you got. And extending probably a bit upon my last comments of, you know, relationships and communication. That's not just to electeds, that's to your superintendents of schools, that's to your business owners. I've met with several business owners in the last months. To ask them, you know, what's working well in the county, what's not, what are your needs, what's the future look like? And, you know, if you're not having those conversations up front, I think at the last hour you find yourself in a pretty bad spot because you can't react. To me, it's about remaining engaged with the community as a whole. Let's not forget our businesses. Let's be responsive to their needs and work towards solidifying their future, whatever that may be.
Well, for most of my life, except about 6 years in Boone County, in Callaway County, and Calawaysians are some of the friendliest people that you'll come across. I mean, you can talk to people from, like Audrey Montgomery, Callawaysian, and basically Fulton people are friendlier. And I think that that's a good place to start as a base when you're looking to solve like the budget. That's not a big issue for presiding commissioner to handle with the other two commissioners. And like I said, if there's no free lunch, I mean, nothing comes easy sometimes. I always mention the data centers that are trying to come into Callaway County. And whether we're ready or not for them, November 1st, they're going to start building, which will open up 2,000 jobs right there for the Calawaysians. Of course, 2 years down the road, that'll drop off a little bit, but they're still going to have like 30 employees permanently in Callaway County. And I really think that's a good thing. I do. There's some issues about it as far as noise and water and using good farmland for data centers. But I think that if we don't put our eggs in one basket and look at the risk-return trade-off, and just remember there's no free lunch, I think that can go a long ways with the Callaway County. Thank you.
Okay, so we have another 2-minute question, and we're going to start with Jessica this time. In the position that you're seeking, how will you make sure that our rural and smaller communities are not overlooked?
Well, considering I live in Hams Prairie, I feel like I know what it's like to grow up and live in a small community. A lot of people ask me, hey, where are you from? And I tell them, and they stare at me and they go, what? I say, well, like Hams Prairie, Flat, Bacon. Some people get it, some people don't. But really being out in the rural community, growing up in a rural area, I know what it's like to go to the Hams Prairie store and get the typical extra meat pizza, no extra cheese, thin crust, thank you, Megan. And what it's like to know at 6 o'clock in the morning you're going to go down there and get coffee and you're going to be standing in line with a whole bunch of farmers. At 5 a.m., most of your construction workers are going to be out on the road. That this isn't a typical 9-to-5 job, that you're going to have tractors that are going to cause traffic, as I like to call them, and people in big cities say, oh yes, the traffic was so bad, and I said, yeah, 2 tractors on the road, we had to wait a minute. So knowing what it's like to grow up in these small communities, and being able to walk up to the store, go to Cranes, go to Hams Prairie, you know, and knock on people's doors and just talk to them and say, hey, 9 times out of 10, people say, I think I know your dad. And I say, oh my gosh, yeah, probably, I'm so sorry. But knowing how to communicate with these rural folks is something I grew up doing from the get-go. So it's really not gonna be an issue for me to go knock on somebody's door and ask them a question. Say, hey, if you need it, a helping hand, I'm here for you. And you can't rely on the internet, you can't rely on phone, you can't rely on a newspaper. Sometimes you just gotta get out there and knock on a door.
I've spent my career working for farm and ranch families throughout the state, and there's one thing I know how to do, and that's know how to communicate to rural areas. And really, the solution there is, or the how you do it is, you show up, and you show up in those local communities, whether it's a barber shop or the coffee shop, and you also work with local leaders. So I would form a very close relationship with the county commissioners in this county, as well as the other counties in that district, the people that are closest to the people, that is your commissioners, as well as leadership within your small towns, your communities. Like Shamrock, we don't have a mayor. I don't think you have a mayor.
No.
Yeah, Prairie. So you have to show up, and you have to go where the people are. You have to go to those community events, listen to concerns. I do a lot more in my job, and what I'll do as a state senator is do a lot more listening than I do talking, and I think that that's not typical with politicians, but that's certainly typical with me, and that's how I've operated in my career. I have a proven track record of doing so with high success, and I'll continue that in the state.
All right. Yeah, traveling the district. I've been fortunate in my career. I've worked in state government for a long time, but I was in positions many times throughout my career where I was able to travel around the state of Missouri. And that is a fabulous thing. I love the state. It's beautiful from corner to corner, right? There's not a bad section of Missouri. And I've been fortunate to see a lot of my district now. So I'm traveling around Senate District 10, trying to get out and meet all the different people, because I cover Callaway County, which is even more than Jess's district here. It's going to go north part of Oz all the way up to Shamrock, where Mike lives. But then it's got Montgomery County. I'm going to be out there in Montgomery County tomorrow night. Pike County, Lincoln County. We've got a little sliver of St. Charles County in Wentzville. So I've been out traveling the district, talking to people, forming relationships, building relationships with people in all these communities. And I intend to continue doing that once you elect me to be your next senator. I hope to continue traveling the district, getting out to those weekly and monthly meetings that happen in the district, making sure that I'm there when events happen, so I can keep track of the people, what's happening, and your issues. My job as a senator is to make sure that we're working for you in the state capitol. So if there's problems, you can always come to me, come see me at the Capitol, contact the office. But then I hope to be in the communities and speak to you on a regular basis. I'm a Holt Summit guy, so this Holt Summit area is the area that I regularly cover. I'll come back from the Capitol and stay in Holt Summit during the week, which is a lot different from some of the reps that I'm working with in Lincoln and Montgomery County, St. Charles County. A lot of those reps are going to have to travel to Jeff City, stay here during the week, and then travel home to see their districts on the weekends. And luckily, I'll be right here in town on a regular basis. So I hope to see you in the future. Thank you.
All right, I believe in Congress, my job is to do the will of the people and to bring investments back into my district. And one of the absences we've seen at the federal level is we don't have Congress people holding town halls. You can count on me that I'm going to host a town hall, and I'm not going to moderate the questions that you're going to ask. You're going to be able to ask me and my staff questions without someone screening calls or cutting me off if they don't like what you say. We can all disagree and still get along. At the end of the day, my job is to listen to everyone and to come up with policies that bring back investments here. What does this mean for investments in rural parts of the community? It means that we need to invest here, which means not giving money to charter schools so they spend your education money that should go to your rural schools to private schools in the city. It means expanding investments in agriculture and lean manufacturing here in Missouri in ways that are responsible, that are transparent, and that don't leave workers left behind. It means rebuilding our roads and bridges and remediating our farmland, making sure that our soil health is good. We can work with our universities here to help accomplish that. And it means returning the power back to workers here in rural areas, which means finally a federal right to repair bills so that you can work on your tractors or your electronics that you own without having to go through a big, expensive third-party corporation to do it. And then finally, like we said, we need to expand access to health care and mental health services here, and that requires investment. And then finally, investments in our infrastructure include clean water. 80% of Missouri kids test positive for lead. It's a bipartisan thing that we can do to clean up our water, get forever chemicals out, lead out, and then whatever the side effects these data centers these guys are pushing on, they're gonna have the impact on. We can invest here.
Well, I want to say that I will continue doing what I've done for the past 4 years, meeting with the public in their environment. That's the community picnics and get-togethers, coffee in the morning, keeping an open channels with all of our county officials. I've met regularly with our county commissioners. I've met with Christine back here a number of times. But more so than meet with them is if we get legislation that's come in, I pick up the phone and call them and say, what's this going to do to Callaway County? My first allegiance is to Callaway County and then to the rest of the state. I have not rubber stamped every bill the Republican Party has sponsored. I've gone against the grain on some, but it's mostly because my county officials have told me this is terrible for Callaway County. And I'm not a lone ranger doing that. There's others of us that have talked and done the same thing. But I think it's critical that you stay plugged into your county and city officials. I see we've got our chief of police and our chief deputy back here. They're both what I consider to be good friends. And find out what's happening in the community so that we can continue to aggressively sponsor legislation that improves the life and quality of the citizens of Callaway County without imposing heavier taxes, heavier burdens, and heavier restrictions on our constitutional rights. And that's been my agenda since I started, and I'll continue. I also have an open door policy at the Capitol. People come in and visit on a regular basis. I haven't turned anybody away. We had a little glitch with the phone system last year, and I think we've got that straightened out, but I will call you back and answer your questions in person. So that's my plan, and I'm going to stick with that. Thank you.
Okay, so we are moving to 1-minute questions. These questions we will ask of all of the candidates here. We're going to start over here with Mike. Outside of your professional career, how have you invested your time and talents in the community?
Well, I go back to the basics. I'm very involved with my church. And I think that's an important place to start, when you're early in life and stuff like that. When you join the church and you start going to Sunday school and you go to prayer meetings, it's just something that kind of catches you. And you stay with that for your whole lifetime. So, but, I like to think that I'm a good Christian. There's a lot of us out there. But I think that's what I base my goals on, is my religious backing. Thank you.
Some of the best experiences I have had, which I believe has directly related to my experiences in the work life sector, is serving on some boards, namely the Coalition Against Rape and Domestic Violence, CARB, and then several years on the Callaway Ambulance District. I'm going to hit on the Ambulance District specifically. That was an eye-opener. Granted, rural health care are issues primarily handled on the state and federal levels, but it was a wake-up call as to just what the rural health care demand was in Callaway County and what that rural hospital meant to the Fulton area generally. And I say Fulton area generally because of Falls North, lots went to Drain, and then Old Summit South went to Jefferson City, Millersburg, Columbia. But my board service was a really island maintenance.
1 minute, I'll talk fast. I mentioned my time serving on the Fulton Senior Center Board. There's been the Fulton Housing Authority. A long time ago, there was a Community Workforce Investment Board. That was an appointed position by the then presiding commissioner. There are things such as Mocane's World Fair. Nothing better than a Saturday night down there when it's 120 degrees, flipping hamburgers and serving hot dogs. Tebbett's Picnic, volunteered there probably the last 5-6 years. Again, nothing more fun than a 100-degree night and flipping hamburgers, so on and so on and so on. I had a great opportunity this year to serve as a judge for the Callaway Youth Expo. Admittedly, I raised my hand because I was running for this office. Folks, there's a lot of bright kids out there, and that was quite a lesson to learn. So, not good there.
Well, I'm safe to say the oldest in the group. I've had a life of public service. But locally, more importantly, Janelle and I formed the Neighborhood Watch program in our area back when Clay Chisholm was a sergeant with the Sheriff's Department. We've been actively involved in keeping that up ever since. I'm head of the church security team in our church. I was a volunteer and on board of directors with the Red Cross here in central Missouri. We were 29 counties at that time. Work regularly cooking at the Tibbetts Community Hall on their monthly barbecue there. Flip burgers at the Mocane World's Fair. I'm a life member of the VFW in Fulton and work on functions and programs with them on a regular basis. So there's a lot to give in this county and this community. And I have found that
Thank you, Jim.
the best way to meet people is that.
Outside my professional career, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, and I'm a community member. I joined the South Callaway PTSO, where we helped fundraise and had a bit of a record-breaking year, if I might say so, to fund things for our school. I have helped with a spousal support program for those whose spouses work in law enforcement, specifically corrections. I have done a lot of advocacy support work for women in abusive situations to try to help them get where they need to be into a safe location. I also have been part of several community betterment groups. I love doing research, and so that's something I've always volunteered to do is, well, hey, I have internet, I have a computer, let me get online and start looking at things.
Most organizations and group fundraisers in the community love election years because everything goes up because people show up. But I have always consistently showed up for my community. So I live in a weird place, Shamrock, where it's Callaway County, but my address is Montgomery City. So I'm active both go to church in Callaway County, involved in Callaway County activities, but also Montgomery County as well. And serve on the school board. My kids are in the Montgomery County school district, so I serve on the school board there and give back in that way, and also with our store within Montgomery City, we give back to all the community events and all of those things. So showing up and giving back to the community is not something that's a campaign style for me. It's not something I just started. It's something that we've always done. For example, was at the Callaway Youth Expo. Ended up buying a lamb. Not the first animal. I've bought an animal there for the last several years. And so giving back to the community is not a new thing for me. It's something that I've done over the last 14 years in this community.
Thank you, Mike. John?
Yeah, so community involvement is something I'm a big part of. I've been a blood donor for many, many years. When I was in college, I joined Lambda Chi Alpha, and I was a part of that fraternity. And after I graduated and started my career, I went back and served as a mentor and on the housing corporation for Lambda Chi Alpha for about 20 years. It started in, I guess when our kids were young. My wife ended up being the PTO president, And you know, when your wife's the PTO president, you end up helping with the chili supper and everything else that comes along with that, right? I was soccer coach, YMCA soccer coach for many, many years. Still many of my son's friends. I've been friends with them to this day. Saw some of them out at State Tech when I was teaching there last year. I'm Housing Corporation, I'm the president of my homeowners association in my neighborhood here in Old Summit. We're just outside the city limits, so we've got our own issues dealing with that. And then I'm a big theater member too. I work with the Little Theater of Jefferson City.
Thank you, John. Bethany? All right, I have been blessed to get to travel all around Callaway County and spend time with you at many places, whether it's at the Mutton Festival or over the Brick District, walking in some parades downtown or over in Mocan. I've also been brought in as a bipartisan water expert. That is my specialty, so when the issue of what kind of water concerns or environmental concerns we might have as we're bringing in different development, I've been brought in as a trusted name because of my background. I've also worked with the DNR directly to offer educational classes for credit for our water operators here in the state. So I invest in the community by sharing what I know. And then I've also had the experience to sit down with many of your survivors here in this county of sex trafficking, with this being a large sex trafficking corridor. I've heard those stories too. So I've seen a lot of what Callaway County has and does very well, and things that you guys need some extra help. So.
Okay, so we have time for one more question, and this is kind of our wrap-up question. And we're going to start with Bethany. That is, why would someone in Callaway County want to use their vote on you?
That's a great question, and thank you so much. Why would you want to use your vote on me? Because I am a little bit different than your average politician. I'm not a career politician at all. I'm a mom of 3. I'm a scientist, and I'm running a campaign to bring Missourians together because I believe that what makes our republic so great is the fact that all of us, regardless of the letter behind our name, we all still share the same community. We drink at the same bars. We go to a lot of the same churches. And in the end, what matters to us is what matters to most of us. Making sure that our kids can grow up in a healthy and safe place, that they have all of the career opportunities that they need, that when we get older, we can retire in dignity and still have something left to us like was promised. And so that's why I ask, this is a different election year. If you feel like your representatives are not representing you, that you are tired of the same old that's been around for 20 years, I hope to be an alternative for that, and somebody that you can trust who will listen, even though we might think about things a little differently. So I'm asking for your vote in August and also in November. Bethany Mann, thank you so much for being here.
John?
Yeah.
Your turn.
Why should you vote for me? I'm one of you. I'm from Old Summit. Actually, I'm from Columbia, but I've lived here for 21 years, right? And this is my community now. I hope that you can trust me this fall to be a voice for you in state government. I am interested in returning power to the people. I think the government should serve the people, and I want to be your voice in government. I will be a check on the current supermajority in the legislature. It's controlled by a Republican governor and 2 Republican houses of legislature. So sending me to the legislature this fall would be a check on Republicans doing whatever they want to us because they have majorities in both the House, the Senate, and they hold the governor's office. So I will be a check on the current administration and hopefully a voice for you in state government.
Mike?
It is time for common sense conservative leadership in Jefferson City, and bringing common sense back into the equation and our state capitol is something I'm all about. I'm not into political grandstanding, not into the theater. I'm into rolling up my sleeves and getting the job done. As John mentioned, chiseled in stone, our state capitol says, let the good of the people be the supreme law. And while we may not always agree, I'll always be open, honest, and available. And my only promise, because I don't make promises, but my only promise is the good of the people, the well-being of the people of Missouri's 10th District will always be my supreme priority.
I would appreciate your vote because, one, I am, I believe, the youngest one here, so I have a little bit of a different perspective on things. But I'm also able to get out into the community and talk to every single one of you. I know what it's like to have a kid at school. I know what it's like to be pregnant and give birth here. I know what it's like to go try to buy groceries at 10 o'clock at night because Walmart closes at 11 and you need to get some Tylenol for your kid. I am here because I know my family has been here for over 150 years, and I want Callaway County to continue being Callaway County, not Silicon Valley. I do not believe we need big corporations coming in. We need to protect our natural resources. And that's really why I would appreciate your vote, is because I have been here, I have always been here in Callaway County, and I will listen to those who feel like they're not being heard. So I'd appreciate your vote for the primary and the general. Thank you. Jim?
Thank you. I want to say that integrity is the pillar I stand on. I'm a 41-year veteran of the National Guard, two combat tours in Afghanistan. I also was a highway patrolman for 5 years. That's how I got moved here to this area. But I'm a small business owner. I'm a cattle farmer. I'm a lifelong Missourian, and I'm a proud husband and father and grandfather. I also will tell you that I'm standing here today by the grace of God who's made everything possible in my life. And I will continue to respect and honor that and the people of this county. Thank you.
Rob?
I suppose by the time I've reached 60 years of age, the only thing that I have to look back on is the life that I've led, the words that I've used, the integrity that I have. And if there's anything about serving in this role that were to change that, I'd just as soon not do it. Folks, there are going to be times you're not going to agree with me. But I'm going to do everything I can to try to represent all of you. And that's an impossible task. But I will do my best. I'm interested in what you think, what you feel, and the only way I'm going to know those things is if you communicate those to me. So I just want to serve you with honor.
As a lifelong Callawagian, this county's in my heart. It's simple. I've said it before. There's no fancy campaign slogans, messages. I love the county. I want to be there to serve the people. I don't answer to any special interest. I don't answer to any political committees. I don't answer to the establishment, and I sure as heck don't have anyone to fall in line to, but the tax-paying citizens of Callaway County who want a limited government and the county to take care of the needs that the county needs to take care of. I sure appreciate your vote in the primary August 4th. Thank you.
Like I said before, I want to lend an ear. I want to be a listener for the citizens of Callaway County. And that's going to set the basis for how I lead in the future. I hope you'll have trust in me, accountability, transparency, and I always say the third one would be oversight. So make sure everybody's doing the right motions and everybody's doing work in the right direction. So, thank you, sir.
Okay, so that concludes our forum. Thank you all so much for participating in these forums. Can we please have a round of applause for